Shri Shri Radha ki, Kunjo Vihare ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Hari Premanande.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're very fortunate tonight that His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is joining us tonight. He is a dedicated monk, author, and spiritual teacher. He is an esteemed disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami. Prabhu is widely known as the spiritual scientist for his ability to harmonize timeless wisdom from the Bhagavad-gita with modern scientific thought, psychology, and practical life challenges. He is the author of over 25 books, including the recent Bhagavad-gita for the CEO, which has just reached national bestseller status. We hope to have that book here tomorrow for you to purchase. He writes the daily Gita reflections on his website, The Spiritual Scientist, and GitaDaily.com, which are read by millions of people every year. He has been a monk in ISKCON since 1999 and has spoken at leading universities and worldwide forums, including the Indian Institute of Technology and Indian Institute of Management, and at international conferences. His clarity in explaining complex philosophical concepts in a simple, logical, and relatable way has inspired thousands of people to take up a more spiritual and purposeful way of life. So we are truly blessed to have him here today. So let's warmly welcome His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu.
Om Jnanatirandhasya Jnananjalishalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Vishnapeshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And Lord, please guide us all so that we can understand your words and understand how you are our greatest well-wisher through those words. Hare Krishna. I'm grateful and delighted to be here today, all of you, and it's wonderful to see this beautiful temple hall was manifested. I think when I was here 2 years ago, at that time, it was still being constructed. And the beauty and the expansiveness of a temple is often reflective of the beauty and expansiveness of the devotees who are in the community and who are trying to serve Krishna in different ways. best, like congratulations and best wishes to all of you that you have got a wonderful place now to relish Krishna consciousness yourself more and to share that with others. And I'll talk about the topic which I'll be speaking on. Our topic is how to be peaceful and purposeful. How to be peaceful and purposeful in our life. I'll give a bit of a context for why we're discussing this. When I travel across the world, last 10 years I've been traveling almost 6 to 9 months. I'm outside India. In India I'm constantly traveling. I have a base in Mumbai, but I spend about 15 days a year over there. So, and devotees come to me with different issues, and when I try to address the issues at that particular time, I also try to see what is the broader philosophical context. And if some issues come up, then which come up either repeatedly or striking issues, then I try to formulate class length or series length presentations. So one theme that has come up quite a few times is that devotees say that I was told that when I chant Hare Krishna, my mind will become peaceful. But now, actually, any problem? So my mind is not peaceful though. Okay. So was it not audible or was it not clear?
No, you said clear.
Little, sorry?
It's for the camera.
Oh, okay.
Reflection.
Okay, fair enough. So is this better now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Are you also on the live stream? For the live stream, how do you do? Okay, you are hearing there also. Okay, good. So devotees often say that now we have started chanting, but instead of chanting making me peaceful, chanting taking away my anxiety, now I have anxiety to complete my chanting. Now I have anxiety that my chanting is not good enough. I come to the temple and initially I find the temple atmosphere very peaceful, very calming. But now I have got so many services that actually my weekdays are busy and weekend seems to be busier. Because in the temple, weekend is so busy. So I feel as if my bhakti, I was promised I'll get peace by it, but it seems bhakti is another thing which is causing anxiety to me. That there are so many things of causing anxiety and agitation of mind, and bhakti seems to be one more thing. So where is the peace? So that is the issue that we try to address today. That, in our life, we don't just want peace. We all want to be peaceful, but we all want to do something valuable in our life. We want our life to be purposeful also. And then we're doing some service. We're doing something which is meaningful, which has some purpose to it. But then, sometimes we may go towards either extreme. So we'll try to understand how peaceful and purposeful can both go together in our life. So, I'll be speaking based on one of my new books on the Bhagavad-gita. So hopefully we'll get this book by tomorrow. This is called Prayers Inspired by the Bhagavad-gita. In this, I've taken key verses from the Gita, and for each of these verses there is one prayer, and there are beautiful pictures of deities of Krishna, and within those deities of Krishna, what we have is, there is one sentence, a spiritual affirmation which is like summary of the prayer. Then I have taken the Gita words and I have translated it into English poetry. And then I have composed a short, about 200 word prayer. So hopefully this book will be there tomorrow, but today let's read out one of the prayers. And I'll ask you also to read out some things and then we'll discuss based on that. This is based on 1.40 in the Bhagavad-gita. So if you like, you can repeat after me. My dear Lord, let me remember that my life story is a part of your story. So let's recite the verse. Tatah shvetairhayayukte mahati syandane stitau madhava pandavaschaiva divyau shankau pradatmatuhu. Then Krishna and Arjuna, standing tall, on their chariot, white steeds and all, blew their conches loud and bright, a sound that shook the field with might. This is 1.14. So now, a request, do we have a second mic by any chance?
Yes.
Okay. So, till that mic comes up, maybe whoever has a mic in their throat, they would like to read. So, the first paragraph, one paragraph. Yes, please.
My dear Lord, you are always with me in the chariot of this body, just as you were with Arjuna on the battlefield.
Yes, thank you. So, one of the key themes to understand the relevance of the Bhagavad-gita, so I'll write and draw some things over here. The Gita has a timely aspect to it and a timeless aspect to it. The timely aspect is that it was spoken at a particular time in history, when the battle of Kurukshetra was about to happen. At the same time, it is beyond time. The message of the Gita is universal. And just as Krishna and Arjuna were on a chariot, our body is also like a chariot. And in this chariot of the body, we are present as souls. And along with us, adjacent to us, is the super soul, who is Krishna, who is non-different from Krishna. So, while we may not have to face a physical war, who knows, the way wars are breaking out in the world, we might also have to, we don't know. But at least we don't have to right now. But there are other kinds of conflicts and confrontations that we all have to go through in life. So, the Gita's message is relevant to all of us because that theme is not just historical, it is universal. So let's look at the next paragraph here.
Please, O Lord, let this beautiful, beatific vision of the human divine partnership become the enduring image that resides and presides in my memory. Let this be the centerpiece of the story I tell myself eternally, as my life story unfolds externally with its inevitable ups and downs.
Yes. Thank you. So bhakti is not just about adding an activity into our life. Okay, I have a job, I have a family, I have hobbies, I have bhakti also. So I chant some mantras, I come to a temple. That's one way of looking at bhakti. And that's a very superficial way of looking at bhakti. That's one part of it. A much more holistic understanding is that bhakti changes our vision of life. It changes the story we are telling ourselves, about ourselves. Now what do I mean by the story we are telling ourselves? Say, we may tell ourselves a story, okay, I'm an Indian, now I come to Australia, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a software professional, I'm a student. Now all these are true, there's nothing intrinsically untrue about it. But that's only a part of the story that we tell ourselves. And when situations happen in our life, the impact of those situations is determined not just by what happens, but by how important that event is within the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. So what do I mean by this? That since 10 years I've been traveling outside India, and I noticed this in America to some extent. I'm not observed in Australia. I have not seen a single American who ever says that I'm jobless. Just say I'm between jobs. Between jobs. Now, what does that mean? That it's like, okay, I'm between cities, I'm traveling to the city, that I'll get another job. What is the big deal? So now many of you are here from India. So we have, it's a hyper competitive world there, and getting jobs is not that easy, and losing jobs can be devastating. So the emotional impact of that on us might be much more. I was just a week ago, I was in, not a week ago, about a month ago, I was in IIT Mumbai. Before that, I was in Prayag, we have IIT Varanasi also there. So I was giving talks over there. So everybody will face loss in their life. It may be, we may lose an interview, we may lose an exam, we may lose some money we have invested. Now that we can see at 3 different levels. First is, I have lost. Yeah, I had this opportunity, I lost it. It's painful, but it's relatively an objective assessment. I have lost. Now, a more damaging interpretation of the same thing could be, I am lost. Not just I have lost, but I am lost. So for example, a student comes here to Australia to study, and then when they study and suddenly, after studies, they don't get a job. And 2 years or whatever extended visa there is, it's just not, it's getting over and they don't know what to do. I'm lost, what should I do now? I've spent so much money over here. That's understandable. But I am lost is a far more disturbing interpretation. I have lost is more a loss of opportunity. I am lost is a loss of direction itself. So in the language of the Bhagavad-gita, to respond to loss with I have lost is Sattva-guna. To respond to loss with I am lost, that is Rajoguna. We identify with that too much. Now somebody may go even further down. Say, I am a loser. I am a loser. Now this is the most damaging. It's not just a loss of direction, it's a loss of self-worth. It's a loss of self-confidence. It's a loss of the very essence of hope that will enable us to keep fighting and keep living. So now this is in the language of the 3 gunas, this is in tamas. So sometimes some students get poor marks in exam and they end their life. Now getting poor marks in exam or failing in exam is a bad thing. But it's not worth anyone's life. Now why would they do that? Because in the story that they are telling themselves, the whole story of their life is centered on, I am such a good student. And if I am not a good student, then my whole story of life becomes meaningless. What is even the point of living? So when I said, people may not say that I'm between jobs, they're not so affected. So within the story of the life that they tell themselves, a job is one part of it, not such a big part of it. So when one person is very affected by something and the other person is not that much affected by it, that's because the event plays a differently significant role in the story that they are telling themselves. I hope the story part you're clear what I'm trying to say. That we don't just evaluate events objectively. The events are evaluated in terms of our subjective experience. And the subjective experience is based on, we have a plot going on in our mind. We have a story we are telling ourselves. And within that story, some roles are very important for us. Some landmarks are very important for us. And if they don't work out, we can get devastated in life. So bhakti is meant to change the story we tell ourselves. So I am discussing this as a background to discuss how we can become peaceful and purposeful both through the practice of bhakti. Would you have the Vaishnavis like to read? We have mind there. Or
The world outside and the mind inside tell me many stories. Stories in which sometimes I am a winner and sometimes I am a loser. These stories are always centered on either what is done to me or what is done by me. But both what is done to me and what is done by me are meant to be the part of your magnificent and benevolent plan for my ultimate welfare, and indeed for everyone's ultimate welfare.
yes, thank you. So let's try to visually depict what is being said here. That when we are going through life, this is the material world, and if we don't have a spiritual dimension to our life, then our entire life story is about what is done to me and what is done by me. Oh, this person mistreated me like this person abused me, this person did something which traumatized me, and throughout our life at all times, but through our life, at many times there will be people who will treat us badly. That's just the way life is. So, similarly, what is done by me? If we are honest, we can admit that we ourselves have messed up our life on many occasions. Now, we have made mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes have been very costly. So, when we think of our life only in these terms, what was done to me and what is done by me. Basically, what is done to me, that makes me feel bitter. Oh, why did this person do like this? Why did this person do like that? And what is done by me makes me feel insecure. Oh, what if in future I get an opportunity and I make a mess of it? I had such a good opportunity, but I just didn't focus. That was such a good friendship, good relationship, but I spoke harshly and that went down the hill. So now both of these basically fill us with negativity. And for most people nowadays, there is so much negativity, although there is so much progress at a material level. Although there is so much more comfort and prosperity and technology, but still there is so much more negativity. Because with the advent of modernity, we have become more and more godless and materialistic. So our life story has become reduced to only, that is, I am here and the world is there. From the world, people, what things are done to me and there are things done by me. Now both of these are important. But what the Bhagavad-gita does is, it expands our vision of life. It says that above this world is Krishna. It's a spiritual reality, and in that spiritual reality, Krishna is there. So what is done by me, what is done to me, and what is done by me. This is, in some mysterious way, some way that is not yet clear to me, it is God filtered. It is a part of Krishna's plan. And that does not mean that my mistakes are what Krishna wanted me to do. It does not mean that if somebody hurt me or abused me or exploited me, Krishna wanted that to happen to me. That person wanted to do it. Krishna has given everyone freedom. But my free will or anyone's free will is not outside the purview of Krishna. So Krishna is expert enough that my story, my life story, is always within his story. And that vision, that understanding that there is something more going on in my life beyond what I can perceive, that actually opens new horizons for us. And so when Arjuna is fighting the war, he is simply thinking, this is Bhishma, this is Drona. And these are not just my elders, they are the elders from whom I learned archery. These are the elders for whose pleasure I learned archery. And now, these are the elders that I have to kill with the same archery. I cannot do that. It's impossible. So for him, when that life story was reduced only to this, I am here, Bhishma is here. How can I fight with him? But it's impossible. What the Gita did was expand his vision. That, Arjuna, you are my part. And because you are a part of me, your life story is a part of my story. And therefore, what is happening on this battlefield is not just between you and Bhishma. There are bigger forces at play over here. There is a much bigger plan unfolding over here. And be a part of that plan. So Krishna did not in specific detail reveal that plan to Arjuna. Krishna gave a philosophical perspective by which Arjuna understood there is so much more going on over here. And thus, by the end of the Gita, what had happened was the same Arjuna, if we consider the message of the Gita, at the start of the Gita, Arjuna was agitated. And not only was he agitated and he was hopeless. He had put aside his bow, he was in tears, and he said, I can't fight. Visvijyasacharam japam shoka samvigna manasaha. I can't fight Arjuna. But by the end of the Gita, what happened? The same Arjuna has become peaceful. Ashto moha smutir labdha tad prasadan mayachyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha. Sthitosmi, I am well situated. Gata sandeha, my doubt, my sources of agitation have gone. This is 18.73. If we consider each line to be A, B, C, D, the third line is saying, Arjuna, I have become peaceful. Sthitosmi gata sandeha. And then, Karishye vachanam tava. Arjuna does not simply say, I will fight and kill Bhishma and Drona. He is saying, I will do your will. I will be a part of your plan. So by the end of the Gita, Arjuna has become peaceful and purposeful. Now the battle is still to be fought and it's still going to be painful. But Arjuna has got a bigger vision that has made him peaceful and purposeful. So we will, over the next, this session and tomorrow's session, try to get a better sense of that bigger vision and try to understand how it applies in our life. Would you like to read the next paragraph?
Let this remembrance of your merciful integration of my life story into your plan be the guiding and the guarding light for all my decisions. Let it be the guiding factor that pushes me forward, even though difficult situations. Let it also be the guarding factor that keeps me away from knee-jerk reactions that take me away from you.
Yes. So when we face difficulties in life, there is the tendency to overreact, tendency towards unhealthy reactions. So in life, for all of us, problems are unavoidable. But what is avoidable is the aggravation of those problems by our own actions. Somebody hurts us, and then we yell at that person, we hit that person, and the whole situation gets escalated. So we want, okay, how should I act in this situation? So the understanding that there's something bigger going on in life. That does not mean I have to become passive, but that means that I can get a bigger perspective. So when we get that bigger perspective, we will be able to choose more wisely. So I will talk now about one aspect of that bigger perspective, and tomorrow I'll talk about the second aspect. The first aspect that the Gita talks about is how does it elevate Arjuna from the level of being agitated and hopeless to being peaceful and purposeful. The Gita gives us a conception of God. What is the conception of God in the Gita? We may often say, whenever you are facing difficulties, Krishna will protect. Krishna is the protector. And that is true. God is the protector. The conception of God can be that God is the protector. Now, when we use the word protector, then what does it mean? An example could be, say, if there's a gang of rioters who descend on a particular city, then the protector are the police. Or if invaders attack a country, then the protector is the army. So if you consider God to be the protector, then basically what is God is like the police. And then we, if you consider the God, conception of God and conception of us, then we are like the protected, we are like the citizens. That is one conception, and there is truth to that. But that is not the conception of God that is emphasized in the Gita. In the Gita, Krishna is not telling Arjuna, Arjuna, I will protect you, you just watch. Those people that come to attack you, I am going to destroy them. The conception of God in the Gita is God is not just the protector, God is the empowerer. God is the empowerer. So what this means is, it's like you can have a military commander. And God wants us to become warriors, to become soldiers. Now, in some place there are a lot of terrorists attacking. The police come and police say, we will protect you from the terrorists. But if the number of terrorists becomes too much, the police may say, no, we will give you guns. We will train you how to fight. And you take weapons and you shoot the terrorists. So, there also, in one sense, there is a higher plan going on. But the role of the citizens is not to wait for the police to come and protect them. The role of the citizens is to become trained for protection. Now, to train to protect themselves. So the vision of the Gita is more of God as an empowerer. Krishna is not telling Arjuna, I am a hero, you come and watch what a wonderful hero I am. Krishna is saying, yes, I am the hero, you join my team and you will also become a hero in my service. So Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you become a spiritual hero. So that is the mood of the Bhagavad-gita. So to the extent we understand that God is the protector, this understanding of God as the protector makes us peaceful. There is someone in charge. There is someone there to protect me. But to the extent we understand God is the empowerer, we become purposeful. So for us, the peace is not simply the absence of agitating situations. For us, the peace is not just the magical removal of anxiety from our life. No. For us, the peace comes by understanding there is a higher reality. There is more going on in my life. And despite the mistakes I have made, the way people have mistreated me, all that is maybe true at one level. But Krishna is in charge and Krishna is my protector. So that understanding makes us peaceful. Gyatva shanti mrichyati, Krishna says. By this understanding, we become peaceful. However, a devotee also wants to serve Krishna. And within that understanding, we don't just want Krishna to intervene to protect us. We want to ourselves do what we can. Now, of course, there are situations where we may be able to do nothing. And that's also perfectly fine. If there are situations where we can do nothing, then we depend completely on Krishna. But when there are situations when we can do something, we still depend completely on Krishna, but that dependence is expressed through using the abilities that we have in Krishna's service. So recently this movie Mahavatar Narasimha has come out. Many of you seen it here? It's a magnificent movie. It's wonderful that our traditions, glory is being depicted on the screen. Now in that, if you see Prahalad and Narasimha, their relationship is in what dynamic? Is it God as protector or God as empowerer? It is primarily God as protector. Now there the role is such that Prahalad is a 5-year-old boy. Prahalad is just a child in his father's home. And in that situation, there's very little that he could himself do. Now we can say Krishna can empower anyone to do anything, and that is true. But Krishna's empowerment doesn't necessarily come through paranormal means. So God as a protector, you can say that is an example of Narasimha and Prahalad. And that's a wonderful example, that's a thrilling example. At the same time, that is not the only example in the Bhakti tradition. So as I said, God as empowerer is the example of Krishna and Arjuna. God as empowerer is also the example of Ram and Hanuman. So I'll make 2 more points and then we'll have question answers. So we will talk tomorrow about what it means for us in terms of the choices that we make. But let's try to understand the conception of God over here and what it means. See, when we say Krishna empowers, Krishna often empowers us according to our roles, our abilities, our situations. So even in the Ramayana, we can say there is an example of Ram and Sita. So Sita, she waits for Lord Ram to come. So both examples are valid. And sometimes we may have the role that there is certain situations that we can do nothing about it. So we can do nothing externally, practically about it. And what we can do is be patient, be faithful and be patient. So, but there are times when we can do something about it and we should definitely do something about it. That's also with faith. That this is my part I will play in this service. So generally when empowerment comes, the empowerment of Krishna, it is more of, it's our ability. It is our ability that is multiplied, that is magnified, that is expanded. So it is our ability that is multiplied by Krishna's empowerment. Like I give the example of a gun being given to citizens to fight against terrorists. Now that gun cannot be given to a 1-year-old baby, isn't it? The person also has to have certain level of abilities. Empowerment can come in different ways for different people. So sometimes we will be in situations where we may not have that empowerment at that time. So for a devotee, Ram is also, for a Ram Bhakta, Sita is a great devotee, Hanuman is also a great devotee. For us as devotees, Prahlad is a great devotee and Arjuna is also a great devotee. So both models are there. The empowerment of Krishna can come in different ways according to the particular abilities we may have. Krishna tells Arjuna that you are Savyasarchi. You are skilled in archery, use that archery in my service. So Krishna's empowerment can come in mysterious ways, but generally empowerment comes in terms of the abilities that we have. Their impact gets multiplied, their impact gets magnified, their impact gets magically, just dazzlingly overwhelming. What happened? So with this, now, what does this mean for us when we are practicing bhakti? So we understood the point that Krishna is the empowerer. Let's go to the last paragraph. Who would like to read that? Last paragraph. Yes, please.
My dear Lord, bless me so that my life journey can always remain a harmonious part of your unfolding ultimate story.
Yes. So, if we consider the example of Hanuman, and this is a theme I'll elaborate on tomorrow. Because the theme of Hanuman is often depicted with folded hands. And his folded hands, they represent his bhakti. Now within those folded hands, he's carrying a gada. He's carrying a mace. And that mace represents his Shakti. So for us as devotees functioning in this world, there is Shakti and there is Bhakti. So now we may say, is Shakti not a part of Bhakti? Yes, it is in a more inclusive understanding. But we can say, if we consider Bhakti as more the specific activities that we do directly to serve Krishna, the puja, the sadhana. So ideally speaking, if you can have 4 quadrants, then there can be Shakti without Bhakti, there can be no Shakti without Shakti nor Bhakti, there can be Bhakti without Shakti, and there can be Bhakti and Shakti. So among these 4 quadrants, which is the best quadrant to be in? 4th quadrant. Yes. So this is the quadrant where Hanuman was there. This is the quadrant where Arjuna is there. So Bhakti and Shakti together. Now if we consider Prahlad was, at least as a child, was in this quadrant. He had Bhakti, but he did not have Shakti. Now if we consider Draupadi or Sita, when she was abducted, she was in this quadrant. So now both these quadrants are still the quadrants of Bhakti. And it is auspicious to be in these quadrants. With or without Shakti, to have Bhakti is auspicious. Now what if we have Shakti, but we don't have Bhakti? Yes. That can become problematic. Now it depends. So we can say there are examples of people who are outlined villains like Duryodhan or Ravan. So they were in this quadrant, and eventually when they were punished, they went to this quadrant. They lost their Shakti also. They were destroyed. So one important thing to understand is that we are not always going to be lifelong in one quadrant only. If you consider Prahlad, as a 5-year-old boy, he was in this quadrant. But eventually, if you consider Prahlad, when he became king, Prahlad as boy was in this quadrant, but Prahlad as king was in this quadrant, isn't it? So, similarly, we see Arjuna when at the end of life, what happened was he lost his abilities. Tadvai Dhanusarjuna saying this is the same bow, same arrow, but Soham Rupendra, he says that I am Rahitos, I am without my Lord now, and everything is gone. So Arjuna went to that quadrant. So we may shift between quadrants. Now there can be Shakti without Bhakti. And then it depends. From there, if we are like Duryodhana, we may go down. Now if we consider the example of Sugriva. Now he had some Shakti, but gradually by associating with Lord Ram, he developed faith in Ram. And then he came upwards. He moved from Shakti. From having Shakti, he had some Shakti. The Lord increased his Shakti also. You could say in one sense, Sugriva initially was here. Isn't it? When he still had power, but his brother was persecuting him. And when he was here, you could say, accurate way looking, Lord moved him from here to here. Isn't it? He had neither Shakti nor Bhakti, but the Lord moved him in a wonderful way. He gave him Shakti by giving him the kingdom. But then, to some extent, if you consider this is the ultimate journey, this is where he eventually went. But the intermediate journey is, he went from here to here. What happened? He got the kingdom and he forgot his promise to the Lord. He was just so much, just completely enjoying the kingdom. It's like somebody has been for us. Sugriva was born in royalty, but now he had to live in complete austerity, complete threat of life. And for years he was living like that. So somebody has been in a zone for months and months without any internet. And then suddenly they finally come back home where there broadband Wi-Fi there. And then suddenly there's lockdown. You have nothing to do and you have full Wi-Fi access. So that's what happened to Sugriva. He got back the kingdom and the rain was so heavy, there was a lockdown. There was no going out. So Sugriva went on a huge Netflix binge. He just forgot everything. But then, when the Lord reminded him, what happened was, he did come in this direction. When Lakshman reminded him, when Hanuman reminded him, when Tara reminded him, he came in this direction. So for all of us, that we may be in different quadrants. We don't have to stay in the same quadrant all the time. So now, point is, if we don't have Shakti and don't have Bhakti, that's bad. But having Shakti without Bhakti, that can also be bad. So, sometimes losing Shakti or gaining Shakti, losing or gaining strength is not in our control. We can try, but that's not in our control. But having Bhakti or losing Bhakti, that is in our control. We can hold on to Krishna in all situations. So, for us as devotees, that we can be both peaceful and purposeful by understanding that Krishna is in charge and Krishna has a plan for me. And so if I have the power to play the part, I will play the part. If I don't have the power right to do anything about the situation, I will gracefully accept the situation. So our life story is a part of a much bigger story. And thus when we become Krishna conscious, it is not just about adding one more activity to our life. It is about expanding the story we are telling ourselves. And thus we all can move towards a more affirmative way of looking at our life. So I'll summarize what we discussed today. Broadly, I discussed 3 points. Our topic was about how to be peaceful and purposeful. In that we discussed part 1 today. So, now, the first point I discussed was while we are going through life, our life has some objective events are happening in our life. Things go wrong, bad things happen. But there is a subjective element to it. And the subjective element is based on the inner story. What we are telling ourselves. So we discussed how somebody may experience loss they may think I have lost, which is largely an objective analysis. I am lost, that is, the subjective element has become significant over there. It's rajas, and the verse will be I am a loser, that is tamas. So this depends, this is the event and this is the impact of the story. So we discussed how godlessness, if there is no God in our life, then the story we tell ourselves is basically centered on two main things. What was done to me and what was done by me. Now what was done to me or by me. Now what was done to me makes me bitter. Why I read this person like this? What was done by me makes me insecure. And either way, the story fills us with negativity. So what does bhakti do? What does the Gita wisdom do over here? When we understand the Gita, when we practice bhakti, the Gita wisdom expands the story. How does it expand the story? Yes, what is done to me is true, what is done by me is true. But above all this is Krishna. And what is done to me is a part of Krishna's plan. What is done by me, it is all God filtered. It is all a part of a bigger story. And when we understand this, our mind opens. We start looking for bigger opportunities. And within that, what does this mean? Okay, God, whatever is happening to me is a part of God's plan. And that means, okay, how is God acting? So God can be our protector and God can be our empowerer. So understanding that God is our protector makes us peaceful. And even if bad things are happening, there is a higher plan over it. And understanding that God is our empowerer makes us purposeful. We discussed various examples for each of these. Here the example was of the police and the citizen. Here the example is of a commander and the soldiers. Citizens who become soldiers. So for us, especially, we may sometimes be in the role of Prahalad, sometimes we may be in the role of Arjuna. And then lastly, we discussed about this combination of Shakti and Bhakti for us. So for us, we want to be in quadrant 4, but whichever quadrant we are in. So we want to be in such a way that we never give up our Bhakti, no matter what happens. Shakti alone is not good enough in this world. We might be able to do something. Ideally, from wherever we are, we want to move upwards. So if we consider Arjuna is here, Prahalad is here, he is protected here, and then he comes over here. Arjuna is here and he goes over here. But he goes from being having Shakti to losing Shakti. Prahalad has no Shakti and gains Shakti. But both ways, they stay devotees. Now, Sugriva, for example, has neither Bhakti nor Shakti. He goes here and he comes to die. He gets Shakti and eventually he manifests his Bhakti also. On the other hand, somebody like Ravan, he has Shakti, he doesn't use it Bhakti for Bhakti, and he loses Shakti also. So for all of us, when we are going through life, we put for our role is to hold on to Bhakti. And then we seek Shakti. Whatever particular empowerment we might get. So holding on to Bhakti is largely in our control. Now Shakti, it is partly in our control. I won't say not in our control, it is partly in our control. So in this way, we discussed how by understanding this bigger story of life, seeing this bigger story, Arjuna, that was revealed by the Gita, Arjuna was initially he was agitated and hopeless. From there, he became peaceful and purposeful. And the same can happen for each one of us by understanding and internalizing the wisdom of the Bhagavad-gita. So tomorrow, we will be discussing about how to both, at one level, understand whether I have Shakti or not to do something about a situation, and how to build Shakti, and how not to go in the direction that if I don't have Shakti, then I give up my Bhakti also. So basically, how to move towards quadrant 4. If we can't move towards quadrant 4 where we have Shakti and Bhakti, at least we try to stay in quadrant 3, where we make sure that we have Bhakti even if we don't have Shakti. That will be a topic of discussion in tomorrow's session, where we conclude this topic of how to be peaceful and purposeful. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, there's an online question. It's by Romanian. How can one cultivate the wisdom where they can distinguish whenever or not to take action, accepting everything happening as Krishna's will?
That's the exact thing I said I will discuss tomorrow. I
Okay,
think
tomorrow.
was the question posted before I mentioned this point?
Yes, probably 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Then, any other questions? Yes.
So, you said peaceful and purposeful of life. So, how do I know whether first I have to be peaceful to know my purpose, or should I with purpose? If I know the purpose, I will get peaceful. So, which one comes first? So, do they go hand in hand?
Does peaceful or purposeful, which one comes first? Well, Krishna comes first. Yeah. First, you have to remember Krishna. And you could say, now does that require us to have some peace to remember Krishna? Or does it require us first to have some purpose to remember Krishna? Well, it depends. See, bhakti is ultimately a matter of a relationship with Krishna. So, when we have that relationship, so for example, if, as a mother, if a child has had some accident and child is bleeding, and then we have to rush the child to a hospital. So now should we be peaceful or purposeful? Well, whatever way we can best serve our child, isn't it? So if our child is worried and child is restless, and we have to do some bandage, we have to restrain our emotions, be peaceful, be calm, and tell the child that it will be okay, I'll take care. Then it is that, okay, if ambulance is not coming, we have to rush our child to the hospital. Once the child is with the doctor's hand, maybe they are doing some surgery, they are doing some operation, that time we have to be peaceful. So rather than worrying about whether I should be peaceful or purposeful, we focus on the principle of the relationship with Krishna. So when we focus on that relationship with Krishna, then the role that we play will become clearer. And there are broadly, so in one sense this is also related to the same question, and I'll elaborate on this, but primarily within Krishna consciousness, both are included. Being peaceful and being purposeful. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was fighting for the Juhu land, and the Juhu was a place where Prabhupada wanted to build a big grand temple in Mumbai, and he was traveling across the world, and he would send a telegram, or he would, sometimes Prabhupada very rarely used the phone, but sometimes he used the phone also. Now he would give clear guidance, do this, don't do this. But after that was done, it was, things were under his control. So Prabhupada continued giving classes. Privately, Prabhupada did express anxiety, they're going to do this, or have they done something else, I have not got any news. But Prabhupada did not give up his purpose because he didn't have peace. He continued wherever he was, continuing to give classes, continuing to talk with devotees. And very close to trusted devotees, he told, I'm concerned about what is happening over here. So it's not that it is this or this alone. It's both are included within the idea of a relationship with Krishna, and the idea of more of a responsible relationship, where we need to take responsibility.
Good one.
for the class. My question is about if we are having a purpose and you are not a spiritual hero at the time, like you take up some bhakti or you want to do something, but you are not a spiritual hero, and how do we understand the providential interference and take that as a step back, or still try for more to become that, because we also have the accumulated karmas which will be always acting on us because we haven't yet purified ourselves.
You're making it very hard for me to resist the temptation to give tomorrow's class today. Okay, but I won't resist the temptation. Okay, so briefly, if we don't have the power to do something at present, we may have a purpose. So is it providential? Is it our own karma? As I said, again, it goes back to the same point. What is my relationship with Krishna? What is my role in that relationship? And with that role, I will do what I can. If you look at Srila Prabhupada's life itself, Srila Prabhupada was trying so much to preach in India. And it just didn't work. He tried so many things. Now, the key defining idea is Seva Bhava, service attitude. Krishna, I want to serve you. And just like the Ganga, if there's a mountain and there's an ocean, the Ganga would like to move straight to the ocean. But sometimes there's no straight way. And what happens is, the Ganga may move this way, may have to move this way, but the Ganga finds some way to get to the ocean. So like that, a devotee keeps finding some way to move towards Krishna. So when Prabhupada was in India, he was trying to share Krishna Bhakti in India, and people were just not taking it up. Now, if you look at the articles that Prabhupada has written while he was in India, the books that he has written, it's not that the books that he was writing in 1950 or 1960 and the books that he wrote in 1970 had some spectacularly different wisdom. It was not that Prabhupada suddenly got new points which persuaded people. Before he had those points, people were not being listening. No, Prabhupada was more or less giving the same message. Of course, when he encountered America, he observed and he took in some American examples, American context examples also. But Prabhupada kept exploring. He kept trying. Okay, if the Ganga is going this way, it can't go ahead, we'll find another way. Can't go this way, it'll go this way. So Prabhupada tried so many things. Initially, Prabhupada tried to assist his godbrothers. Then Prabhupada tried to have Back to God magazine. Then Prabhupada tried to write books. And Prabhupada, before that, he tried to have the League of Devotees. Then Prabhupada tried to America. In America, he tried to do various things. He tried to preach in a yoga studio. Then he came to the Lower East Side. And finally, something clicked. So, yena kena prakarena mana Krishna veshit. So, if a particular service is not working right now, is it because of my karma? Is it because of whatever reason? We can try to analyze the reason as much as we can. But that reason should not become our excuse for giving up service itself. We may decide that I want to do this particular service. Oh yes, sometimes if we face repeated setbacks in one particular area, we may decide maybe this service is not for me. But that doesn't mean Krishna is not for me. That doesn't mean there is no service for me. Okay, this thing is not working, let me try something else. The world is a big place, Krishna is a big Lord, and there are many different ways to serve. So, we don't have to keep beating our head against a wall in the name of being determined or in the name of being humble or whatever. So, we have to see how can I best serve Krishna. So, rather than focusing on the cause, to whatever extent we can analyze the cause, that is good. Why is this not working out? But can we say that's a definitive analysis? We don't know. So when Prabhupada was in India and his outreach was not working, now Prabhupada could have come up with many reasons. So India, there was low success, practically no success. Now Prabhupada could have thought that, maybe I should stop speaking in English. India is a place where there are so many vernacular languages. Now, Even now, the vernacular language preaching in India is much more than in English. Prabhupada would say, maybe I'm not succeeding because I'm speaking English. Prabhupada could have thought, okay, maybe I'm not succeeding because I'm speaking too much philosophy. See, it was not that India was religious at that time. A lot of kathakars were there. Prabhupada thought, maybe I should become a kathakar. And if I tell nice stories of Krishna, people will come. That is the reason Prabhupada could have taken. Now, Prabhupada could have thought that, maybe I should. Prabhupada would do a lot of kirtan, but Prabhupada could have thought that maybe I should grow a beard. So people will take me as a sadhu more seriously. Is that a serious reason? We don't know, how people get attracted. But what Prabhupada thought was that maybe the locality, the place. Let me change the place. Let me go from India to America. Prabhupada felt Indians are infatuated by the West. The Western people become devotees. Then Indians will also take it up. Now, was that the only reason why Indians were not taking up bhakti? That they were infatuated by the West? No. But now, why did Prabhupada take up that reason? Why did he act on that reason? As if we don't know Prabhupada's mind. But if you look at the broader context, Prabhupada connected that his lack of success with the starting and ending instruction of his spiritual master. The first instruction was, you know English, speak in English, and speak across the world. So Prabhupada focused on that. So that means when we are trying to look for a cause, there could be many causes, but we try to look at the cause through the eyes of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. That is there an instruction that my spiritual master has given me? What does Shastra teach me about it? And based on that, we try to understand which is the most actionable cause that I can work on. If we are in a particular service and a particular devotee is obstructing us. Now, when we say, oh, this devotee is my enemy, that's why I have all these problems. Maybe that is true, but what am I going to do if that devotee is my enemy? Am I going to spend my whole life fighting against that devotee? Well, if that is the only way to serve him, we have to do that. But we may decide that, okay, if this devotee wants to focus on this particular area, let the devotee do the service in this area. Let me do service in some other area. But if that area is very important, that particular department, that particular role is very important for me, I may decide I want to stand up over here. So the point is that we have to see what is the bigger picture. If we have some contact with some senior devotees, if we have a bigger understanding of Prabhupada's mission, then within that picture we can see. So rather than focusing, did Prabhupada think, it is my own karma, because of which I am not succeeding, so let me accept it. It shouldn't be that no analysis, basically cause effect is analysis. No analysis should ever discourage us in the practice of bhakti. That is the important thing. That if suppose we are trying to preach and nobody is coming, should I think that, purity is the force and I have no purity? So what do? Till I become pure, I should not preach. And when will I become pure? 50 years later. No, yes, if we are doing things which are like seriously impure, we try to strongly stop them. But purity is the incremental journey. We look for some other actionable cause. What can I do? If Prabhupada had himself taken, purity is the force, probably I don't have purity, that's why I'm not able to preach. Then, if we say Prabhupada was just as dedicated at that time also. That's why the cause we have to analyze to some extent, but analyze in such a way that it is anukul to our seva bhav. It may not be anukul to a particular seva. That means, of this particular service, maybe I have to let it go. But I should not let go the attitude of service. Does that answer your question? Yes, Prabhu.
Krishna, one last question, online question. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Ravana claimed to be a bhakta of Lord Shiva and had Shakti, so he had Bhakti and Shakti both.
Yeah, good question. Now, the word bhakti has two distinct meanings, many meanings. But the word bhakti is used sometimes broadly, that a person worships another person seems to do a lot for the other person. This is a bhakta. But did Ravan really care for Lord Shiva? For Ravan, Lord Shiva was simply a source of power. He cared for Lord Shiva because Shiva gave him power. Now Prahlad cared for Lord Nrsimhadev, even for Lord Vishnu, even when Lord Nrsimhadev did not give any power. Each time that he was threatened, he was attempted to be assassinated, he had no guarantee that he would be protected. He was ready to die, that's what it took. So his relationship, Ravan's relationship with Lord Shiva was quite a self-serving relationship. That's why if you consider Yajna and Puja, Yajna in the Vedic context, we may think of it as religion. And it is true, but Yajna was also technology. The idea is that by doing certain fire sacrifices, we could get higher material powers. So the idea is that Ravan was doing puja, whatever extent he was doing, that was to please Lord Shiva. For him, that worship was a technology. The technology to gain power. So in that sense, he was not really a bhakta. Bhakti means, so if we look at what we discussed today as bhakti, and bhakti means understanding that I am a part of God and I should be a part of God's plan. So was it Lord Shiva's plan that he abducted Sita? No. Did Ravan ever think that Lord Shiva has a plan and I have to fulfill his plan? No, he says, I have a plan and Lord Shiva will become an instrument for me to have the power to fulfill my plan. Isn't it? So that is a very utilitarian view of God. That is not actually bhakti. Okay? So thank you very much. Shri Krishna Bhagwan ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Bhakta ki Jai. Gaur Premaliki.
Great Chaitanya Charan Prabhu ki Jai. Krishna Prabhu, thank you for that wonderful class. Make sure you come tomorrow for the conclusion, and we're serving prasadam outside.